What's up, guys? It's Casey Zogelman, aka the fourth Sanderson sister, here with the first video in my Hogwarts house sorting series. This series will be me sorting characters from fandoms into Hogwarts houses I think fit them best. Now, today, we are starting off the series with the characters of Hocus Pocus, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. The results may shock you as I sat down and really analyzed the crap out of this at midnight one night. So, for those of you who may not be familiar with the Harry Potter series, Hogwarts is the school young witches and wizards attend to learn magic. They are sorted into 4 houses upon arrival in their first year of school, and those houses are Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff, and Slytherin. I'll let the sorting hat tell you more about those houses.
1,000 years or more ago, when I was newly sown, there lived 4 wizards of renown, whose names are still well known. Bold Gryffindor from Wildmoor, fair Ravenclaw from Glen, sweet Hufflepuff from Valley Broad, shrewd Slytherin from Fen. They shared a wish, a hope, a dream, they hatched a daring plan to educate young sorcerers. Thus Hogwarts School began. Now each of these 4 founders formed their own house for each, did value different virtues in the ones they had to teach. By Gryffindor the bravest were, prized far beyond the rest. For Ravenclaw the cleverest would always be the best. For Hufflepuff hard workers were most worthy of admission, and power-hungry Slytherin loved those of great ambition. While still alive they did divide their favourites from the throng, yet how to pick the worthy ones when they were dead and gone? 'Twas Gryffindor who found the way, he whipped me off his head. The founders put some brains in me, so I could choose instead. Now slip me snug around your ears, I've never yet been wrong. I'll have a look inside your mind and tell where you belong.
Now that the houses have been explained, let's get to sorting. First up, we have Jay and Ice. I decided to do these two together because, well, you don't get one without the other, and I sorted them into the same house, so might as well just keep them in a group, right? So these prank-loving boys remind me quite a bit of the Marauders from Harry Potter, as well as the Weasley twins from the same series. They can be pretty reckless at times and enjoy making mischief. James Potter and Sirius Black kind of fit with these two, as they did single out poor Severus Snape as a punching bag for their pranks, and Jay and Ice do the same to Max. They aren't the bravest boys on the block, but they do have several other traits that cause me to sort them into Gryffindor. Yeah, a bit of a shock, isn't it? Well, overall, these two do value bravery, or they wouldn't go around picking fights all the time. They are adventurous as heck since they go out pulling pranks, sometimes very dangerous ones, and like the Marauders, they do tend to get into a lot of trouble. And just because they were afraid of the Sanderson sisters, let's be real, who wouldn't have been in their shoes, that doesn't mean they aren't brave. Like I said, they gotta be pretty brave to do some of the crazy stuff that they do. These boys really just embody the Gryffindor spirit of adventure, and so that's the house they land in. Up next for the sorting ceremony is Thackery Binx. Our favorite talking cat is next to wear the sorting hat. Binx has been around for 300 years, and he knows everything there is to know about Salem and the Sanderson sisters. His knowledge is what keeps the kids alive through most of the movie, so the house best suited for Binx is Ravenclaw. The House of the Wise claims this lovable cat as he is the wisest character in Hocus Pocus. He uses his logic and his knowledge to help get his new friends out of every jam they get into. Binx reminds them to think before they act, formulate plans, use their knowledge of the witches to defeat them. Not to mention his witty comebacks when Max gets a little smart with him. All of these traits a Ravenclaw student holds dear to their hearts, and that lands Binx in their house. Coming down the line, we have Billy Butcherson. The sorting hat is placed on Billy's head now, and let's hope he can keep it on his shoulders. Am I right? Am I right? Anyway, our favorite dead man walking displayed some pretty interesting attributes throughout the movie. We thought he was a bad guy, turns out he was secretly a good guy, he turned on the witches, he put his own afterlife in danger to help his new friends, and so that means the sorting hat says... Gryffindor! Billy is a Gryffindor for sure because he is very brave and daring. He puts himself on the line before his friends, and a lot of his grunting could easily be taken as hold my ale and watch this, as many Gryffindors do. He gets knocked down, but he gets right back up and continues fighting with his allies until evil has been defeated. Billy, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to Gryffindor. Now we have little Dani Dennison coming up our line here to be sorted. Dani has a mouth on her that will never stop her from telling the truth, no matter how much her brother hates it. Dani doesn't give up on Max despite his idiocy and cruel teenager ways. She loves sweets, she has a heart of gold, she stands up to bullies, and that places her in... Hufflepuff! Dani is the perfect Hufflepuff to have by your side because her loyalty will always remain with the ones she cares about. Her heart of gold is pure, but she does let it take advantage of her sometimes. Like when Max decided summoning death witches to impress a girl was a good idea. But she never gave up on him. She stuck by his side through it all. Dani is a lot like Cedric Diggory, a famously brave Hufflepuff who did the honorable thing all the time. She clearly works hard, considering how much time and pretty scheduled she is with her trick-or-treating, and Hufflepuffs are really hard workers, too. So there is a big connection there. And she's also a particularly good finder, as in finding the candy. And she has a soft spot for all creatures, including Billy. Hufflepuff gains a wonderful student in Dani Dennison. Next up is Allison, who I think they've said her last name, but I'm not 100% sure. So we just have Allison coming up the line. Allison displays a brilliant intellect from the moment we meet her in the film. She clearly studies and knows her history. Allison also has the most common sense out of the four heroes, which means she ends up in... Ravenclaw. Wisdom is Allison's biggest attribute throughout the movie, and she uses it to better explain the terrible situation Max got them into. She personally knows just about everything there is to know about the Sanderson sisters from having learned about them for years from her mother, who ran the museum. I'm an English major. I know grammar. It's Allison who takes the gang on the tour of the museum and along the way explains everything about the house. She gets the idea to use the spellbook to find a reverse for Binx's predicament, albeit that did backfire, but it was a solid idea. Allison's book smarts and common sense help the gang out along the way, and that places her in Ravenclaw. Oh boy, up next we got Max Dennison. Max, where do we place you? You're ambitious when it comes to girls, you're cunning when it comes to ideas on wooing them, you manipulate your sister's love of Halloween to bring the girl you like to a murder house to impress her. Let's see what the Sorting Hat says about you. It can only be... Slytherin. Oh yes, the mighty Slytherin house gains Max Dennison. Slytherin's top two traits are ambition and cunning, and Max has both. His ambitions were really directed at Allison and making her his girlfriend, but let's be real, they were very strong ambitions. It's his cunning, however, that ended up being his best attribute throughout the entire film. He uses this trait to outwit the witches on multiple occasions to save his friend and his sister. The burning rain of death was an excellent display of cunning manipulation, and the daylight savings time bit proved successful as well. Max is most definitely a Slytherin, and that house is lucky to have him. Coming up the line, Mary Sanderson, the first of the Sanderson sisters to be sorted, and if it isn't obvious by now, this list is in no particular order, because keeping it mixed is more fun. So on to Mary and her sorting. She is the most loyal character in the entire movie, displays a hardworking nature, and plays the peacekeeper in her family. The house most worthy of Mary Sanderson is... Hufflepuff. If there was any character who is a true blue Hufflepuff, it is Mary Sanderson. She works hard to help her sisters succeed in their endeavors, keeps the peace as the voice of reason in her family, and she remains loyal to Winifred even though she gets treated poorly. Loyalty is a big attribute to Hufflepuffs and Slytherins, but especially Hufflepuff hearts that remain loyal because they don't want to give up on their friends and family no matter how tough it gets. Mary's a prime example of that loyalty, and she goes through a lot, and I mean a lot, to keep her family together. And if she is not the best finder in this entire film, we're gonna have to have a talk, guys. Her power's literally tracking people. She's the best finder. Hufflepuffs are very good finders. She is the best finder. Also, the Hufflepuff common room happens to be right behind the kitchen, so bonus for the witch who loves to eat. Now the sorting hat is placed on the head of my favorite of the sisters, Sarah Sanderson, and placing her was a little harder than I thought it was going to be. I had a toss-up between two houses for a long time, but after some close examination, the sorting hat says... Slytherin. Yes, indeed, Sarah dons the green and silver colors as she joins Slytherin House. Her attributes and secretly sadistic ways that we never see on film, because if we did, it would turn into a rated R movie so fast you blink and you'd miss them change the rating. But these are the things that place her there. Her powers alone earn her the Slytherin House, as manipulating people's thoughts and actions through magic play along with the unforgivable curse Imperius, often used by the Death Eaters of Slytherin House. Now, I'm not placing her here simply because she's a villain. If that were true, Mary'd be in Slytherin House too, and she is not a Slytherin. Sarah uses her beauty in a cunning fashion in order to seduce her victims before she kills them. Her powers are very manipulative, which Slytherins excel at when they must. She is extremely loyal to Winifred and Mary, and Slytherins are loyal to only a select few people they feel they can trust. Once that loyalty's broken, they are done with those people unless they come to them. Sarah really has a rather Bellatrix Lestrange type quality to her, that she remains loyal to the ones who hurt her. Bellatrix remains very loyal to Lord Voldemort, even though I'm pretty sure on multiple occasions he has used the torture curse on her once or twice. Because there was a scene in Deathly Hallows Part 2 where she is huddled in a corner scared out of her mind, yet she's still his right-hand woman. I digress. She also has a thing for torture, which Bellatrix also excels at. I think that was displayed very clearly with the hang him on a hook and let me play with him thing. Factoring in all of this, Sarah earns a slot in Slytherin House. Oh, the final sorting is upon us with everyone's favorite sister, Winifred Sanderson. This one was hard. This was so hard. The obvious choice is Slytherin, but once you do a little digging, it becomes abundantly clear that Winifred, in fact, gets sorted into... Ravenclaw. Oh yes, Winifred is absolutely a Ravenclaw, and the reasoning is pretty obvious. She values wisdom and books. The woman is obsessed with her spellbook to the point of literally the plot of the movie. Winifred always comes up with a plan to get things done her way. Ravenclaws think everything out, and she revises and rethinks her strategy when it fails. Ravenclaws do a lot of revision. Winifred is very good at quick thinking and plan adjustment, as seen in the graveyard when Max the Slytherin manipulates her original plan to kill Dani. She also proves to think quick at the town hall when the witches perform I Put a Spell on You. Her plan adjusts quickly to eliminate the parents of Salem. Her plans always adjust step by step. When something snafus, she's got to figure something else out to get them back right on track. And that is why Ravenclaw fits her. She also complains that everyone around her is an idiot, which a lot of times in memes, if you haven't noticed, Ravenclaw students get very fed up with the other three houses bullcrap. So it's very a Winifred house. Winifred's a Ravenclaw through and through, and you honestly cannot change my mind on this. So there we have it. This is my first Hogwarts house sorting video, and the houses I believe the characters of Hocus Pocus belong in. So what do you guys think? Do you agree with my sorting list? Who would you have changed? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like, subscribe if you haven't, share the channel, spread the love of Hocus Pocus and Dark Shadows and Pokemon, and stay tuned for all of my future projects on all three subjects. I am Casey Zogelman, aka the 4th Sanderson sister, and I will see you later.
I have put a spell on you.